What? What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. Just tried to psych Kyle out there. Don't worry, the Steve Harrington shirt's still on.
Thank God.
We're here to talk Stranger Things. Kyle was out of town when part 2 came out. Part 3, the finale, has now come out. This is going to be all spoilers from this moment on. Spoilers are possible. We're just going to talk Stranger Things. It seems like everybody and their mom has seen it.
Episode 5 through 8.
Yeah. We'll talk about episodes 5 through 8. We'll probably touch
Mhm.
on stuff in season 5 as a whole and everything going on. So I
Yeah.
feel like the finale will end up being most of the conversation now that it's over. But
Sure.
yeah, I think we just kind of let the convo go where it goes. So thank you, Million Patrons. Kimberly can go get some merch. I'll link down in the description. And here we go. Kyle, just what were your thoughts overall
No,
with
no,
Stranger
we're
Things
not
season
starting
5?
there. We're not going to
Oh,
start there because I want to hear about your movie theater
I did go.
experience with
Yeah,
this.
I did
I
go see
think
it.
that's a much better starting point than what I have to say.
So I knew it was awesome. I knew that it was going to be screaming and yelling, and I knew it was going to be with. And we didn't get the very first showing. We when we looked, probably in mid-November, early November, before part 1 even premiered, when the tickets first went on sale or whatever. We looked right
Right.
away, and or like a day after, and it had good seats available, but not a bunch. But there was the 8 o'clock was the earliest because that's when it released, and there was an 8:15 and 8:30, and the 8:30 had slightly better seats. So we were like, let's snag those, which is like the theater we go to now, Kyle, is all the theaters except for the IMAX and the Dolby are all like yours. So they're all bad
Terrible?
chairs. Yeah, it's a huge theater, but they're all bad
Yeah.
chairs after that. But low key,
Mhm.
sometimes I kind of dig it. When it's an hour and a half movie, I don't mind it. Sometimes when you're reclined and too comfortable, it's like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little more awake when I'm up. Not that I
Sure.
always prefer the recliner, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hour
Yeah.
and a
I
half
get it.
tight though. But anyway, a lot of people in cosplay, which was cool. It
Hmm.
was the most packed I've seen the theater, honest to God, since before COVID. It was like seeing The Force Awakens. It was like seeing Avengers. It wasn't quite as big, I guess, as The Force Awakens lines and stuff, but the line was massive for food. And Stranger Things, they did this thing where when you actually didn't pay technically. You paid for the ticket and then you got a $20 food voucher. So the
Yeah. Yeah, I
food
heard about
line
that.
was super huge. Like that's
Mhm.
really where the craziness was really at, but it was cool to see. It was there were so many people there excited. Um we had a big panic because you never know if they're going to play trailers for this stuff or not. I feel like every now and then I go to like a Fathom event or a TV show in the theater and all of a sudden it's like it just you sit down right on time and they start. So we were worried.
Right.
So we got in line. Autumn went in early, and I was like, "You text me the moment we know they're going to play Nicole Kidman. Okay, we know that ad's playing.
Right.
So the moment Nicole plays, you message me, and I'm leaving whatever because we wanted to get hot food, but the line's crazy because they gave us food voucher. But anyway,
Mhm.
the experience, it was packed house. It was awesome. There were a handful of phones out right at the beginning. It was like every teenager needed a picture of the logo. That didn't bother me. I think I saw a phone or two very briefly throughout the entire thing here and there. For the most part, most of them were pretty well behaved. But boy,
Okay.
there was a lot of screaming. Um,
Yeah.
the girls right next to us were like probably 15, and I didn't see this, but Autumn said they were bawling their eyes out from start to finish just because they
Hmm.
must have grown up. The women behind us,
Yeah.
though, directly behind us,
What did they do?
very intense. Low key, it
Oh.
was like being at like the only first thing I could compare it to was like going to a Beyonce concert or a Taylor Swift concert. Like it was loud, high
Mm.
pitched screaming. So again, spoilers. Here's first spoiler. Steve, when he fell on the thing off the thing,
Right. Off the
it
tower. Yeah.
that was the one moment I was like, oh, we've hit a different decibel level than I think I haven't ever heard in the theater. Like they're the amount of women in here screaming.
Wow.
That was the loudest it got. But dude, when he was saved, it was oh thank God by I'm not kidding, pretty much everybody. in the
Yeah.
entire theater was like, oh, thank God. And we'll get into like our personal thoughts on that scene, but it was cool.
Sure.
The people who, because I keep seeing comments of like, oh man, like some people, I know the Escape Pod boys filmed
Mm.
film themselves. They rented out a theater to watch it. So I know I've seen
Oh,
some of
yeah.
their clips. I've seen comments on their clips of people being like, "This is why I didn't go," and it's like that's the point. If you go to these type of events knowing that is probably going to happen.
Right.
Um,
You want to be around the
yeah.
people.
It was
Yeah.
cool though. People were cheering, people were crying, it was cool being scared with people. Horror is always super fun in the theater. It's I think arguably maybe
Totally.
the most fun you can have is getting scared together. So some of the scenes that
Next to
actually
comedy. Yeah.
yeah, like
In my opinion.
when L yeah, comedy too. When L
Mhm.
runs in to the house and just instantly they're all around the table and just boom shoots him. The whole theater was like, "Let's go!" Like, yeah, like no hesitation, just grab him and throw him. It
Yeah.
was it was cool. It definitely probably I mean it enhanced the experience for me anyway. I think I came away significantly higher. I think I was going to leave watching the finality liking it. After now seeing it, I think I was always going to like it that way. Like I was going to like it overall, but it definitely enhanced the experience because it just now has a link of a very fun night out memory,
Sure.
which is part of the greats of going to the movies.
Yeah,
Oh, the
for
dog
sure.
stood up
I
because
mean,
that space heater's going.
oh,
It's cold around here.
uh, no, that's nice to see. It's nice to see, and a bit surprising too. It's nice to see that people really grabbed onto this show, but it's also surprising by how much. Like we always knew that Stranger Things became like a phenomenon of a show throughout these last
Yeah.
10 years, but I didn't realize like how much of a grip hold it had on a lot of
Yeah.
audiences outside of my circle, and especially for younger audiences too. I mean, it really dawned on me that not only did this cast of kids in Stranger Things actually grow up in real time these
Yeah.
10 years, but so did a whole generation of kids like grew
Yeah.
up with this show. Like this is their Goonies, this is their Stand By Me, this is, or maybe Stand By Me is not the right term, but you know what I mean. It's
No, it's
like
Stand By Me
that type
is
of movie.
it's Goonies meets Stephen King is exactly what it ended up being at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Like
that
that's a
was my
great
thought.
pull. That's a great pull.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
So yeah, I don't know, it that was kind of the surprising part that I just never really thought about because I was only ever thinking about like my own thoughts about the show. But just hearing your experience, like in the movie theater, and then realizing in real time, like what this show meant to a lot of other different people,
yeah,
is very fascinating. Like it's definitely like a phenomenon of a show for a reason. People are gonna look back on this show
added
like
1.3
with great
million
gratitude.
or it added 1.3 billion dollars to the US economy, Stranger Things over its run because of jobs, where they
Yeah,
film, vendors, things like that. Like that's crazy. Yeah, this
or
is
even
I think
like even merchandise and in comics and games, maybe games,
yeah,
costumes.
all
Yeah,
that stuff.
totally,
I mean a
totally.
Broadway show for Christ's sake.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Um but this is really the first time because you weren't a Game of Thrones fan. Like this is the first time
Mhm.
truly you're experiencing a show at this magnitude end because I don't think there are many shows that have actually hit this level of like popularity. I don't even think
Uh,
Squid Game is this intense with how good Stranger Things is. I think the most recent one is
yeah,
only Game of Thrones. I think it is the only comparison. I think the older shows, I think Friends competes and I think MASH competes. But I think those
or
are
even something like The Sopranos, maybe.
I
That
don't
wasn't like
I don't
that
think
wasn't in
it's
my
that
time, but
level.
it was a big deal. It was a
It
big deal
was
for its
Breaking
finale.
Bad was a big deal. Finale
Yeah,
like all this, but I don't think it was a cultural phenomenon as to
Walking
this
Dead could
extent.
have, but they
Walking
died
Dead was
out pretty
dang
fast.
close. It held on. It started to
It
head like
tried.
really
Yeah.
be in there, and then it just fell off so significantly. But I'm going to compare
Mhm.
this to Game of Thrones quite a bit as we keep chatting because I've
I think
got
that's
a couple
fair.
points that I want to mention about it. But first, I want to just let's now get into your thoughts of and talk a little bit about this actual season, and then we'll let it go from there. What did you think of season 5 just as a whole? Take that wherever you want it to go, or the finale, wherever you want to talk about.
I guess I'll start back to where we began for this chunk of the season with episode 5 and onward. I do think the second half of
Yeah,
the season
struggles.
maybe it was because of the way that they separated the two, so I didn't see it in one full sitting, or we didn't do like the weekly format necessarily. But I did feel like they were the weaker episodes of this season.
Oh,
Although I did
yeah.
think, yeah, but I did
Why,
think
wow.
episode 6 was the highlight because I believe that's the escape episode, right?
Escape
When
from
they're escaping
Camazotz.
Mister
Yeah.
Camazotz, Mister What's It, the whole thing. Um, which I feel like still at the end of the day, I'm not sure if I'm in love with the subplot of Mr. What's It, the utilization of the kids all that much, but at the very least, like with it's still a very exciting event that takes place. And it does shed light into like um Henry as a kid with like that crazy memory that he was having in the cave. Although I feel like that ties into like that Broadway show because it really doesn't go anywhere.
It does tie into the
Um,
Broadway show. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, which I feel like that's so disappointing and lame, personally. Like only a
I
select
don't
few
think
people
so.
see
I
the
think
Broadway
it's
thing, but it doesn't add anything
I,
to the show what all the eyes are on. Like that's my
yeah.
frustration.
Well, what do you mean? Does
I
it
think
like
if
if the Broadway play didn't exist and they just kept it all the same, it would just be the memory. I think it's just a fun little thing for those who have seen the play. I don't think the play adds anything other to him
I
just
don't think
going into that cave.
I think the memory first off should have been expanded a lot more. If they were to add it into the show, I think it should have expanded a lot more into like it adding more to like that character or adding it more to like the overarching narrative of like what this all means and how everything comes together. But I think if you're just adding that nugget just for a select few people who've seen the Broadway show and the show, while the majority of audiences for this big phenomena have only seen the show, I think that's kind of lame. I think that's very weak.
I
So that
don't.
part I didn't really
I
like.
guess I disagree with you. I just don't think it matters. I don't think it added anything other than some people saw the Broadway show and then was like, "Oh, that's cool." They kind of put an Easter egg for me because I've seen it. I don't think it's central or anything, but that's just me.
I don't know, but I think it could have been central. Like if it's going to be there to begin with, like it would have been there could have been something cool. And granted, like it does showcase Henry like reminding us that he was just a kid at one point, that he also was just scared and innocent and then something overtook him, but at the same time that does kind of get waved away even still cuz it still is a bit ambiguous on whether the Demogorgon was behind the whole thing or if
It is
Henry
not
did
ambiguous.
succumb. What do you think about it then?
It's it's the Mind Flare. The Mind Flare has been the big bad villain the whole time. I don't know about the
Which
Rock.
I'm happy about. I'm happy about
Yeah,
that, but Henry also said that the Mind Flayer didn't like put him under any spell, that it was his
I think
decision.
and I love that moment. I think that
Okay.
moment is so good. Do you want to talk
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, keep it going. Tell me
Because one
why.
of the things I was worried about going in is I didn't want a Henry redemption arc, and I like that they tried to
Agreed.
play on it, and
Mhm.
they tried. Will goes, dude, you're just me. You're a vessel to the Mind
Mhm.
Flare. You were just being used by it, and he went, no, no, no. We are one. I have become the Mind Flare at this point. I chose this path. And then when he's saying that,
Mhm.
he's still crying. And I think it's because he knows after powering through this memory that I think the kid inside of him still is wanting to say, yes, Will, let me help you, but he is no longer that kid. And I like that they didn't pull the Darth Vader move. And it was,
Sure.
no, I am the villain. I chose to do this. I'm going to see this through to the end. And I think
Mhm.
that is great. I think that all worked. I think that whole
Gotcha.
scene is excellent. I think it's arguably one of the best performances by Jamie,
That
who
actor
plays
is
Henry.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jamie's
I think
great.
that whole scene is fantastic, and I do not think it's ambiguous at all. I think the Mind Flare is the villain all along. I think when you're a kid and you touch a magic rock, and then all of a sudden you have a vision and you get magic powers, and you're hearing "Come find me" from this creepy, crazy voice, I think you're gonna go find him. And I think that
I
I think
like
it was great. I think it was great,
yeah.
and I'm glad they didn't redeem him.
I'm glad that you pointed out that it does seem like the Mind Flayer was behind it all, which that's a good thing. I think after hearing your theory from a couple of episodes ago about it, that he should be like the big bad and not Vecna being the big bad of the entire show, I think that's a good idea. Um, and I like the parallel between him and Will, Henry and Will. and
Yeah.
their connection to all of it. I think that is good. Like for at least having that memory become like a parallel for Will and Henry. But I think in terms of having it be included, still is like just like what the how like who is the scientist, like where did the rock come from. I still feel like that's something within the story where that could have been expanded on a bit more rather than it only being for
I don't
like those who've seen the Broadway
I don't
play.
think I don't think that's what the Broadway play is about, Kyle. The Broadway play is about Henry. It's not about I don't even think they explain where the rock and the scientists come from in the play.
I thought I was reading that it did, but maybe I'm wrong then.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe
Well, what
just
where
skimming
does
through
it come from?
everything.
Because I want to know.
No, I agree. I would have liked to have known too, but
I've heard the theory is that their spin-off is going to possibly touch on that because they're talking about
see
doing
now
a spin-off show that I don't know if that's true. That's just a theory. That's what I've heard. I don't need to know about The Rock and that being expanded on at all. That doesn't. I think
all
the
right.
scene worked
Well, we
great.
can.
I don't think the play mattered. I think the play is more about his life growing up, and more as an adolescent than it is about that specific point in the story. But
Right. But we can move off of that because I think within that same episode, episode 6, it's also when Nancy and
Jonathan have the goop
Jonathan
moment.
they have the goop moment.
The goop
They
moment.
break up in the goop. I like that scene. I don't know why people are
The
bashing on that
scene's
scene so much. I like
fantastic.
it.
The scene's
Yeah.
fantastic. I
They acted their butts
agree.
off.
The goop
Yeah.
needs to be explained a little better. I do think
Yeah.
the goop needs to be explained better. There are people who are completely trapped in it. I've seen a lot of people talking about it for negative and positives, but I think it's first of all, it's very clear they're breaking up. They literally toss the ring and say, "Will you
Yeah, I
not
don't know why
marry me?"
people are confused. Why
It's
are people
because
confused
people were
by that?
doing this while they were watching that episode because they weren't
No,
interested
that can't be
earlier.
the reason. No, no way.
Yep. Um,
Yeah, come on, people, pay attention.
and I do think the goop suddenly hardening does have some symbolism on they have kind of been this melting pot and trying to make it work, and then when
Yeah.
they are breaking up and admitting these things to each other, it has solidified for them who they are, so the environment solidified. It is a bit of a little bit of a plot hole, I guess. Like I do think that that to me is something that should be expanded on. Or at least mentioned. I want Dustin to be like, why did this goop freeze? Or like Steve to say it or somebody. And Dustin goes, oh, it's probably just because the thing calmed down. And the wood didn't melt. It was just the metal. But like, it's at the end of the day, that's a nitpick for me. But yeah, the scene's fantastic. Go ahead.
No, the point of the scene is very good. I would have liked it if those two characters have stayed together, but I can't deny that the two actors opposite of each other nailed it. They did a very good job. They had me in the emotions. And I think it was also funny and a little romantic at the same time too. Like not romantic because they didn't get together, but just romantic and like their chemistry is there, but they're just not a fit anymore.
Yeah,
so I found it to be
glad
good.
They broke up. It was time.
Really?
Nancy needs to go out on her own, pal.
Yes, and it seems like most of them do, minus Steve at the end of the show. Which I think Steve, for his character, that makes sense.
The absolute when Steve was a baseball coach, the entire theater was like, "Oh yes!" They were like so happy
good.
that it was him. Yeah, no, that's.
I was seeing so many. I was seeing
one. Stop! You have not. Tell me.
No, obviously online, people on Twitter are weird. They're like, "Why is that? That's so terrible for Steve that he stays in his hometown." I'm like, some people like staying in their hometown, dude. It's okay. Like you don't have to move.
That's crazy. I haven't seen one negative thing about Steve's storyline, and I've looked a lot. I've been going down a lot of rabbit holes, and I do think the majority of people like the finale. I do not think it is as divisive.
I think so too.
As 5, 6, and 7 were. Those episodes. I think it was very clear that people weren't a fan of those, but I think most people have ended up liking the finale. This is the best arc for Steve ever. When they're on the roof, which that scene in the finale is excellent. When the 4 of the adults are on the roof, I love that scene. I think you can tell by the performances they're giving that they're not acting anymore, that they're saying goodbye to the
Oh, sure.
show and what has
Yeah,
made
yeah.
them who they are and stars
Mm,
in this world. And especially there's a specific shot of Steve where he like turns away, and it that is 100% Joe was actually just seriously crying.
right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
when they said, "Oh, we're gonna meet up somewhere," and they're guessing, and they go, "Philly." Whole theater lost its mind, and the amount of "heck yeah, go Birds!" It was awesome. When we did get home, I knew going in that I was gonna miss dialogue, a little bit of immediate lines after yells. Totally fine with it. One of the benefits, even though it sucks that Netflix has them out at the same time, as soon as we got home, we sat down. We had a half hour until it was midnight. We went, we found each of the scenes. We just fast forwarded to those scenes just to hear the 2 lines we missed, 1 line we missed, and we really didn't miss much. I think it was really only 2 scenes we didn't hear the next line, but
You didn't rush to Twitter to yell that the writers messed up on something. You went back and double checked that you were correct or incorrect.
the funniest
That's
part about
weird.
that is that some people, when you looked at their post, was before the episode was out. Like the time doesn't match up. I saw some people putting stuff out. And it was like clearly they're rage baiting or they're just that dumb.
Oh
But
yeah,
anyway,
most of it's rage bait for sure.
did you like that scene with them up top? The epilogue? Let's talk
Uh,
about the epilogue, Kyle. Let's talk about the epilogue. Did you like
all
it?
right. The emotion in that scene specifically, you mean, or just in
Yeah.
general?
Yeah, we do both. Give me the scene first.
Uh, for that scene, I thought it was fine. I mean, yes, the emotion from the actors felt very real, and I was appreciative of that. Just because they have been through much through for this show to make it as good as it has been. But I don't know. I felt like the way that the scene was shot just looked off to me from an aesthetics point of view.
Weird. Looks great to
Um,
me.
and I didn't feel like all 4 of them were necessarily that much of a tight knit group. Although I guess with Steve and Nancy and Jonathan, that's more of the case. Not so much with Maya
Robin.
Hawke's character, Robin. Thank you. But I mean, 4 of them are the older actors, and I guess it makes sense to put them all in the scene together for a send off rather than do like a one by one type of framing of it. So I don't know. I guess I didn't dislike the scene, but I also didn't really think like all 4 of them together like that is like it is like a group that really makes sense to have that finale for. But I get why for time's sake, I suppose.
I mean, you all come back from college to watch these kids you've literally bled with graduate school. You probably are going to
Mm,
get together and chat about it.
yeah.
You're just one of them now. You're just old. Everybody's gone. Let's all meet up in Philly. Come on, I'm right here. I liked the scene a lot. One
Good.
complaint I've seen, since Kyle and I have a list of complaints of things we've seen people saying online. One complaint I've seen is
Right.
that there's no conclusion to Robin and what's the girlfriend's name? Is it like Vicky or
Vicky?
something?
Vicky. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that there's no conclusion. We don't see anything. It's been almost 2 full years. I do not care. By the time we cut, don't care. Didn't need it. Not important. Doesn't matter. She got a little extra screen time. Great. That was awesome. I think
Yeah,
she
I
added a
mean,
little bit
I
at times. Not a big deal.
no, I mean, look, I'm happy for Robin. Vicky seems lovely. She's not an integral character where I need her in the finale. If she was there, great. If not, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like in the finale of Friends, like you don't see like their babies and their kids appear in the finale for very often until like the last possible second.
Yeah.
It's like that. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Same with Susie. It's like, first of all, Susie got her computer taken away at the end of season 4. She's not talking to Dustin at all at this
Hmm.
point because her dad grounded her forever. And it's also like,
Same with Argyle too. Like,
it
look, guys,
makes,
eventually
yeah,
we can't have it both ways. We can't be asking for characters to be killed off, but like the very niche specific characters that appeared once or twice, we got to bring them back. No, guys, like come on, we got to move. We
and
got
it's
to
all
move
just
forward here. It's
everybody's specific favorite characters they didn't want to die and did want to die. That's something I've noticed.
yeah,
I've seen
like
a lot of people be like, oh, they didn't kill this character, this character, this character, any of the main
mhm.
characters. And then the 3 characters they named you are honestly, arguably, are side characters, and they're actually not really main characters. The
Yeah,
main
like
characters to me, Joyce, Hopper, The young kids and those four
Mhm.
older kids, I would say, are the main characters of the show.
Well, speaking of main characters, then, how did you feel about Joyce's utilization of this show? Because I feel like she obviously started as the main character, so to speak, in season one, and then over time, like especially in this season, for me, it felt like she was a bit sidelined, except for like really good moments with Will. By the way, Noah Shad does a very good job in this season, I thought.
Yeah,
But
everybody's
what did
been
you?
real dogging on him.
Yeah, which I don't know why. It's
I don't
I
think
mean,
Joyce.
past seasons not good, but he's good in this season.
I don't think. Yeah, no, you're. I don't think Joyce in the season one is like the central main character. I think they've always just been an ensemble with the group that they have, and was one of them. But
Okay.
she definitely gets hit probably the hardest of anyone in season five. Now, her utilization is not great in season five. She
Her
does
kill was
have
awesome
nice.
though.
She does have no. Yeah, we'll get there. She does have
Hmm.
great moments, like good conversations with Will. She just clearly they didn't write anything about Jonathan much though. It's like her other son's out here dying, and she just clearly doesn't care.
Yeah,
But
Jonathan gets poor John.
um,
Great actor.
but her that finale and her final chopping off the head is fantastic, and that scene is
Hmm.
amazing. And in the theater, the cheers,
Oh,
the
I bet it was great.
boom, it was
Yeah.
incredible. And I heard somebody, I didn't time it, but I heard somebody say that she swings at him 11 times as like
Oh,
a little Easter
yeah.
egg.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And it cuts
I
to
like that.
11 different moments. Yeah, no, that moment is awesome.
I do like that it really showed that everyone was affected. Like there was even some characters that were in that space and they got their own flashbacks. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you did really have like a personal vendetta with all of this, and it wasn't just you were looped in.
Yeah.
Like you also got some trauma from it. So yeah, nice touch there. That's cool. Yeah.
Let's jump now
Uh
to the whole battle. And then we'll come back to the epilogue, and we'll talk about the second half of the epilogue with the actual kids and then Joyce and Hopper.
yes.
'Cause I
Do you
want to
mind
talk
if I
about
quick
that. Yeah, go ahead.
do you mind if I just quickly ask you, what did you think about the reveal of the upside down being the in between Earth and whatever that other place was? The abyss or whatever they
Yeah,
call
just
it.
another planet.
That worked for you?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
makes scientific sense. Did it not work for you?
No, I think it does work for me. I'm fine with it. I think I wish there was a bit more of an explanation as to why maybe the upside down looks similar to Hawkins and everything else, but I don't know. Maybe we just need to be creative and come up with our own reason.
I saw somebody explaining scientifically with the theory of relativity yesterday. I saw a video on it, and it, for my dumb brain, it started to become a little too much. But they were saying that it does make sense that when the gate is open on that day and it creates the bridge, like that
Hmm.
moment created the bridge to the two worlds.
Hmm.
Um, that what it does is it froze, it just created an after image and then freezes that in time, but in
Yeah.
time you still move at the same rate. They're just slightly curved when they're moving, and that's why it's frozen in time. I don't know, it was a lot over my head, but it was interesting
No, why
overall.
not? That's cool.
The people who are like the Duffers are liars, they clearly didn't have this set up. Again, you liked season 1 when it first aired. You were not in love with this show the same way. I remember loving the show and watching tons of interviews at that time, and I remember them being like, we had a big binder. Netflix wanted us to explain the whole thing, so we have the whole idea of what the Upside Down is prepped. I remember those interviews in season 1, and I've seen interviews since with them where they're like, yeah, Netflix wanted a whole thing. We had a big binder. We've known all along it was a bridge to another world. And then people in comments and online are like, no, they're liars. Ugh, you just didn't like
Well,
the show. You didn't pay attention.
I also think that this is another example of when you are in a fandom such as this, you have to be wary about thinking everything that a creator or a director or writer, whoever it is in charge of it, is going to be truthful about everything. Or at the very least, they could be truthful at first, and then something happens to change that they didn't realize would happen in the moment. Like, I think fandom because this stuff is so personally like deeply connected to them that they don't want to be lied to, but you're probably going to be lied to on the occasion. Like
Well,
it's I think it's just going to happen.
Vecna's 100% not a main player, and in their minds in seasons 1, 2, or honestly
No.
probably 3. He
No, it
is
was
brought in and then added later. They create scenes like the opener of season 5. That
mm,
they didn't have. They knew what the Upside Down at least was when they were
right.
making this show originally.
Yeah, I
Yeah, no,
believe
I
that.
like it. And I think it adds a cool aesthetic. But
The
let's talk about
epilogue.
the big battle. So they
Oh, yes.
I think there are good character moments at the beginning. It opens right up with them, being where they are.
Mhm.
I think the scene when they're trying to make. Let's just take this one at a time, one moment at a time, I guess. So they start by getting in position. They climb up the tower. I do
Mhm.
think, the Duffers deliberately wrote Steve falls off, cut to black for 4 seconds, and they probably wrote in the script in a side note, this is to let everyone know we're not killing anybody off. And
Hmm.
I think that was them saying we're not this show. And
Yeah, I
that moment
think
hits. Yeah, go
it
ahead.
does hit. It seems like it does hit for sure. Once that moment happened, I think you're right. I think that's where I was like, yeah, everyone's gonna get out of here alive. Which I didn't really have a preference as to like characters dying off or not. I'm honestly fine with like a happy ending for characters. I think maybe it's just me noticing this more and more, but there seems to be a strange phenomena, I guess is the word that I'll use,
Let me jump in here.
of audiences or fandoms wanting something dramatic to happen and the only explanation is a death. Like it reminds me of trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Ant-Man 3 where it's like, "Oh, clearly Rocket's going to die. Oh, clearly Ant-Man's going to die." Really, guys? Ant-Man? You think Ant-Man's going to die in his own movie? Like, come on, guys. Like, let's
Kyle?
like if you want to make a theory, go ahead and make a theory. But don't take it as your gospel. And especially like you don't need dramatic moments to only be a death. Like
I
that's not the only
love
thing that's dramatic.
I love the way you worded that. I'm
Thank
stealing
you.
that and I'm not going
Go
to give you
ahead.
credit. I love that. Why does everybody need a dramatic moment to be a death? That is the best way I have heard anybody talk about this issue going on in movie. Kyle,
I don't
I sound sarcastic, and that is a great freaking way to word it. That was
thank you.
awesome, pal.
Thank
That was
you.
awesome.
It just I mean and look, if a death did happen in the show, okay, fine. Fine. But like this need for dying in anything
Let me
like
talk
to
about
only
this.
have dramatic stakes, it's I don't know if it's like a current thing or if it's always been
I
a thing, I'm
I
just
got it.
noticing it. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
helping you. Ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
Also, you better buck up because I have a feeling we're going well over an hour.
Okay.
Um, I think because Kyle tried, and for those at home who don't know, movie mill people, Kyle tried Game of Thrones, and it just wasn't his show. So he was like, "This isn't for me." He bailed.
Yeah.
So he didn't watch it. I think Game of Thrones single handedly changed the way viewers view content. And I think Game of Thrones came out, and a big appeal of it is they kill characters. The whole point of season 1 is making you
Mm,
think that Ned Stark is the lead and main character. It's also that way in the book,
right.
that it is Ned's story for the most part. Even though we're jumping around, it is about Ned, and he's the person we're mainly following, and he dies. That moment is a huge moment in, I think, our pop culture. Game
Mm,
of Thrones only ascends from that point and truly becomes one of the biggest shows ever made. Um, I think when you follow that, I think then you get these adaptations like The Boys. The Boys kills off some of its characters, and none of their main characters have died.
no. No.
Um, but that's a big example. It kind of shifts the narrative, and I think it becomes more. And I think it's part of the Dark Knight thing. Dark Knight comes out. We want real and gritty. Killing somebody in a major battle is a real gritty kind of take, and I think it has shifted the growing population, the generation under us's viewpoint of how they view content and how they take in content. And I think now also that social media is so much out there, even more so, and that like things like I see it in my classroom where Pennywise is more of a joke, even though you could show it to a kid and they're going to get scared, but like those scary things aren't as scary. What is the only true scary thing in life is death. So I think that is just where the collective consciousness has gone, and I think it's a problem, and I think it is ruining our way of watching things.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Watched more interviews with the Duffer Brothers before going into the finale, and they literally say in an interview, I think with the Hollywood Reporter, it was either them or Variety, where they're like, they're doing press. This is right. This is after the episodes 5 through 7 came out. So they're talking about some of those episodes, and they say, I hope people understand that we're not Game of Thrones. We do have character deaths, but we wrote this show to be a reflection of the shows we grew up watching from the 80s era and like those type of shows. I think people who went in expecting major deaths is an issue. And again, I love the freaking way you worded it. You can have dramatic moments without a death. I love that. That's Kyle, you just know.
Well, I mean, look at all the dramatic moments that we did have in this season alone that, I mean, weren't necessarily like a death. Like, I guess, for example, Dustin and Steve were having their own dramatic moments. Granted, that it was due to like a death from a previous season, but it wasn't like their own deaths. Like, you still were able to have them talking about, don't leave me, don't die on me, because I can't handle that. And they were both like having that great argument back and forth, and it was dramatic and great, but no one died because of it. Granted, again, it's still in the context of death, but even still, that's a good alternative.
Yeah, and put
like
yourself
neither one of them died, but it's about death.
Put yourself in the position of these characters too. Like, they do think they're gonna die. They believe the stakes are real. Like Dustin, when they're saying you die, I die to each other, it's because they know that if one of them goes out, they're both gonna go out. They're gonna die with each other, and it just didn't happen that way. I also think I have one more Game of Thrones take that I when I left the theater when we saw it, that I thought that I want to chime in real quick, because I see so many people comparing that this is the worst finale ever. It's even worse than Game of Thrones. The writing has gone so bad. I can't believe this. And Game of Thrones fans, I think you're forgetting something. Game of Thrones started declining the season prior. There were a lot of people who didn't like a lot of the stuff the season prior to the final season. Season 4 of Stranger Things is arguably their best season.
That's where they fixed everything.
But even season 3, though, I don't think is a bad season. I think it is one of
missteps, but
struggling one, and they do have issues. But overall, I think it's still a solid season of TV. Game of Thrones is starting to decline in season 7, where people are like, "This is bad." To a lot of people. And then when you get to the big one, the big final season, your expectations are already there. And people went into this, the first 3 episodes or 4 episodes of this season, I think are great. I think some of the writing isn't great. I think there are some moments that aren't great. But overall, I think it's awesome. I've rewatched episodes 1 and 2 because I think I'm just going to rewatch all of this season. Because I'm just kind of curious, as this has been a conversation piece. Just in general, and I was like, everything in these episodes are so freaking good in the episodes 1 and 2 of season 5. But anyway,
good episodes.
That is what I think about the media literacy. I think it's just dipped. I think people do just expect death, even though had they actually killed somebody, if they killed Steve, I think people would have ran to Twitter and been like, I can't believe they killed Steve. This was horrible writing. You did a terrible job. People wanted like Murray to go. That was their like, they didn't kill a major character.
That would have been a good one. Well, it was a good one.
I mean, Kyle, put your stuff
I know.
aside,
I'm just making it. The
point is, like, I've seen a lot of that. You don't even kill Murray, and it's like, is Murray the major character death you wanted? A major character did die, maybe. And you could. We'll talk about that. Let's get to the battle. Let's get to the battle.
Yeah. Let's talk about the battle. Okay. Let's talk about the battle.
First, let's just do the Hopper stuff. I think all the stuff with Hopper's awesome. I think the shot with Elle when the military guys show up and Elle just the pan around shot is just boom, boom, neck snapping. Our theater cheered so loud when she was forcing the gun to go under his chin.
It felt good. That one
it
felt
was
good.
A great moment. I think all that. I think Hopper getting tricked by Vecna was awesome. I think that scene was great.
It was. I just wish it wasn't like his last big moment. I don't really remember if he has another big moment after that.
Hopper
though.
or Vecna?
Hopper.
Yeah, no, he doesn't really have another
big
that's
kind
battle
of
moment because he's not in the final major battle. But to me, it was all right. I thought that was enough.
No, I mean it was a good moment. I'm glad that he does save Callie as well. I'm glad that he has his conversation with Elle. That he's
great combo.
Like he's telling her to not like sacrifice herself, but he's more saying it for him. I felt like just as a father, which is why she ends the conversation by saying like it's kind of like a gut punch of how she ends it, but she's basically like, I'm not your daughter, I have a choice.
Yeah, I'm not Sarah. Trust me to make the right choice.
Yeah, unfortunately Sarah wasn't able to make a choice, and I'm like, oh Jesus, you could have worded that better.
No,
but
I think that scene is excellent. I think that is a good example of really strong writing by them.
It's good. It is good. I'm just saying from my own personal place, I'm like, whoa, God, that's a
I think in that moment, Ella's saying, I am your daughter. She calls him dad. You became a father to me. I am your daughter, but I am not the daughter you lost. I am an adult. For the most part, I'm almost an adult now. I have to make my own choices. And this is the choice I choose. Because the whole time he's talking about, you can be free. You can have this life. Because that scene's also really good where he said, I want you to one day understand where I'm coming from. And then she is basically saying, you're not letting me make those choices for myself at all. You need to trust me. I'm not Sarah.
I had that
You're not gonna, you might lose me, but that's the point of being a parent. And I think that whole moment's excellent.
Yeah. I wish afterward we would have seen her hop up on like the rocks or whatever to get to the abyss where the action takes place. Because once she shows up, it's fun. It just would have been cool. It would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I needed to see her be a Mario. I personally don't have an opinion. Had they shown it, cool. If they didn't, then I'm fine. I'm good either way.
Yeah, I get it.
So they fight Godzilla, okay?
Honestly, that payoff was pretty cool.
Thank you!
I liked it. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Right back.
Here's the thing everybody's complaining about. The whole fight, the big monster with the mind flare, Vecna, happens too fast, over in 10, 15 minutes, needed to be longer, no stakes. They beat him easily. I'm very confused about we beat him easily because they pumped him full of lead on fire in season 4 and he didn't die. I'm going to impale him first chance I get through the chest if I'm hell at this point.
Sure.
What do you think? Tell me your thoughts about the whole thing. Let's do before Elle shows up, and then we'll talk after Elle. What do you think about everything before Elle showed up with the monster and everything?
Yeah, because I thought the creature, before it became like the Godzilla creature, was just like a building or a place where Vecna was, which it still was, but the fact that it like reveals to be like almost a mind flare in and of itself.
It is the mind flare, yeah.
It is the mind flare. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty rad. And I think like it would have been a bit disappointing if it was still like a giant cloud creature. Like it needs to be, I don't know, it needs to be something a bit more crazy like that.
People are saying that the shape it takes is the shape spiders take when they sleep. That when a spider is not eating or working on its web, that is the shape it takes. A lot of people are saying, where were the Demodogs, the Demobats? I think it's very clear that that's what the body is made of, because that's the whole plot of season 3 is killing animals and turning them into a different flesh to make them into the body. I think they're all part of that body. I don't think
they all
shown.
They all went to the upside down. I don't know. He ran like he put them all in the upside down, not in the abyss. I don't know. That's what I put in my head. Well, they're from the
abyss because when he first lands in the abyss in season 4, he runs into a Demodog. or a
Oh
Demogorgon.
yeah, they do
But
appear, don't they? Yeah,
I
okay.
I
That's
think
fair.
I do think maybe a scene of the Demogorgons turning into the body is probably would have helped, but I think that's
Mm,
pretty clear where they are. Um,
hmm.
I
But
think.
before, oh, you go,
Go
you
ahead.
go, you
No, no,
finish.
no. You go.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that before the fight, because you were asking about that, I thought the conversation between Steve and Jonathan was nice.
Liked
I
it. Yeah,
liked that Nancy and
Mike.
oh shoot, Mike, thank you.
The whole
Got
flare
to have
gun
like
thing was great.
a fun, yeah, it was funny. It was a good little moment, brother sister type thing. I
Lucas,
love
walk it
that
up. That's a
Nancy.
flare gun. It was
Yeah,
great. It was
it
really
was
funny
awesome.
that he's so excited. That's a flare gun. Because even
Hmm.
when she handed it to him, I was like, why is she leaving all the shotgun shells though? Those got to be shotgun shells. And then it makes sense. They're flares.
Their flares. Um, it's cracked me up more and more each season that she becomes the embodiment of Ripley from Alien.
I know.
Like this
Even ends
season, it
with the
finally.
haircut.
Yeah, exactly. Which sure, why not?
I
80s,
think
I
it's
get it.
fun. It's the 80s. That's the point of what the show they're making. They're making a show that is based on their love of the things that came out in the 80s.
Right,
Aliens,
of course.
Alien.
Alien
Yeah,
was definitely pivotal. Pivotal.
it
That's
was.
a word. Yes. Um, I think Will's use. I think it would have been cool if he was able to like do battle a bit more. Um, but him getting to see Vecna be killed was good. I'm glad that he was a part of that. I also saw a lot of people concerned that Elle and Vecna weren't going to have like a final battle because season 4 was like a lot of them against each other, and season 5 is more of like Will and Vecna against each other. I liked what they did with Will a lot this season, but I'm glad that the final battle was like Elle and Vecna because it also was like a big part of her arc as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it had to be her in the end with help
Hmm.
from others. They weren't going to
Right.
win without help. But
Right.
I yeah, I loved the Godzilla fight. I think the mind flare looked really cool. I think it took that shape with its head being cut because L cuts its head in season 3 when it's fighting the rat version of it in half,
Mm,
and I think
okay.
it does that as like that's what happened.
Sure.
The parallels to this fight and the ending of Attack on Titan, though, are wild. I mean, she pulls a straight Mikasa,
Mm,
jumps right into the belly of the beast to get the boy controlling it on the inside. um, I've seen a
okay.
lot of
Good.
people making videos
That,
about it. It's fun, but
cool.
the I think them being like, oh God, when it's like lifting and they're like, run.
Yeah.
I think there are stakes, Kyle. I think you're right. You can have drama without a death. I think you can, and I
Yeah.
think that all worked.
That at that point, it's not like a character based drama thing. It's like big scale, like monster battle type of stakes. But I bet it was awesome seeing that in the theater. Like it looked great
It
on,
was.
at home.
Thank
And
you, because
granted, there
I
was
agree that it looked great. Autumn didn't
yeah,
think it
yeah.
did. She thought it's times you could tell it was CGI, and I said this looks better than anything Marvel's put out in 5 years.
Agreed. I mean, there's definitely like times with like the backdrop and the CGI backgrounds where
Yeah,
it doesn't look good. I'll admit to that. Um,
for a made for TV, yeah, I think it looks really good.
well, the blurring between streaming for TV and cable TV
Yeah.
is, it's not the same as it once was. Like it's being blurred a lot more now. But even still, like the creature itself and like the way it was shot, like I don't know, I had a thrill with it. I liked it.
I love that Dustin tripped and he's about to die. And I love that they teased this bromance twice of one of them saving the other, and it doesn't happen both times because there is nobody that they've got in their arsenal more athletic than Lucas. And Lucas
Mm,
saving him, I think, was awesome because Lucas, I don't think got as much really badass moments in past seasons as he really did get in this season because he got some great stuff. I mean, he's actually carrying Sadie Sink, kicking
mm.
Dema dogs in that whole scene. That is excellent. And then
I
him
want to
saving
talk about
Lucas is
them in a
great.
minute too. Yeah,
We'll get to them in the epilogue. Their whole chemistry is awesome. Uh
they're the best actors.
yeah, oh yeah, Sadie for sure. I think it's
Sadie
very
easily.
clear that she is
Yeah,
acting over everybody
yeah,
else, but
yeah. We all
I
knew it
do
at the
think
beginning.
I do think everybody is good to an extent. If they're given the right thing, they do a
Right.
great job. I think if
Yeah.
Will's doing Vecna stuff, I think Noah's delivering. But when he's
Hmm.
doing Palmer stuff, I think it does not always hit. His coming out scene, I think, hit, but
Yeah, you did like the coming out scene.
I
Because
liked
I
it.
did
I liked
too.
the scene as a whole. I do think it's a little weirdly placed in the beats of what we're doing. I think it could have
Yeah.
actually happened sooner,
Yeah.
but in that episode, but I do think the scene is really, really good.
I think Noah sells it well. I saw a lot of people speculating within the scene of like why certain actors were like not acting enough in like parts of that scene, or I saw like the things that he was saying not being like actual memories that were within
About
the
the milkshakes,
show.
going to get milkshakes.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I
I
don't really know
think,
what to make of that. I just like the general idea of like the
yeah,
coming out scene
they're
because it's important for that character. I wasn't really thinking about like the minutia of like plot wise for it.
you're
So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
just me though.
Yeah, no, the people that are complaining about the milkshake thing specifically is dumb to me. It's like, does everything he needs to say be a specific scene you can go rewatch somewhere of them doing fun stuff? Because let's be honest, they didn't get to do much fun stuff with Will other than the very first part of the first episode ever. They're not
Yeah,
doing
like
a lot of
Dungeons and
fun things with
Dragons,
Will.
maybe Ghostbusters for Halloween, but even still, that went sideways
Even
real
that, he had a
quick.
panic attack. He pointed at a mind flare.
You can't take this guy anywhere.
Maybe let's do some other things, like talk about the other things they were doing before then. Like, yeah. Anyway,
Because yeah. Okay.
I will say, because I know we're scattered and I'm sure you love it, Movie Meals. Are you good to talk longer than an hour, Kyle?
Yeah, let's keep going, man.
Thank God, because we got so much more to go. Uh,
Okay.
I think the Lucas and Max scene where where the Jurassic Park scene with the Demodogs, the walk 'em down, Karen Wheeler comes in. Let's be honest, that's really
That was insane.
everybody's like, why are the Demogorgons not there at the final battle on the Abyss? And it's like, are you kidding me? They know one of the Wheelers is coming. They've been getting their hands handed to them by the walk 'em down Wheelers. The scene where Max wakes up might be the best scene in the entire show ever. And the performances with Lucas and Max in that moment are incredible. Autumn was telling me she saw an interview with, I think, Maya Hawke, and she said
Yeah.
that is the quietest any scene the entire show since she was on had ever been. It was like insane how good that performance was. I think that was an excellent scene when they woke up and were talking to each other. It was incredible.
Yeah. I think throughout the show, I don't think Lucas necessarily has the most what do I want to say? Like he doesn't necessarily have his own storyline, so to speak, but I
Out of the
think because
four
of
boys, he is the one that gets the least of activities to do.
right,
For
but
sure.
it's unfortunate. But I do think because of the character of Max, not only does it create a great relationship between those two characters, but I think it does help that pairing really help showcase their acting talents as well as help their characters be utilized throughout the show. I think it really helped them both out. So yeah, well earned of a scene for when she finally gets out of the coma, and that's like the first person she gets to see, for sure. How did you feel about her still like regaining her eyesight, like all of her, arms and legs were still being able to be
I liked it.
utilized? Because at the end of the season, like it's pretty heavy with her like not being able to see before she goes into coma, like everything like is snapped.
It's drama without a death, Kyle, is what that was.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is. It's good drama.
Yeah. But you're okay with her like not being blind still, like after all of that has ended, you're okay with her like getting the stuff back.
Vicky says your eyesight is just you're adjusting. She doesn't say she's blind. Your eyesight your eyes have been closed for so long that it's going to take some time. I think that makes sense. I think that's probably pretty true of most coma patients, is that they wake up and they experience a form of blindness at first. I bet that is probably pretty accurate.
Sure. Yeah. It didn't bother me at first, but looking back on it, I do wonder if it would have added a bit of something to like kept her being blind, just because, with Vecna, this being a strange entity, like who knows what the repercussions would have been. Yeah, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it because
Yeah, I liked it.
I wasn't too sure either.
So let's move back to the fight.
Okay.
I love their running. I love Lucas saves Dustin. And then
Mm.
the moment where they're like, all right, well, we have to come up with a plan really fast. Let's, Elle shows up and saves them at that moment. They're like, we have to help her somehow. What can we do? Think. There's some caverns and caves over there. What if we get on top? Does it happen fast? Should they be able to climb all those, up that high that quickly? No. That's where the sci-fi and fantasy comes into play, and you just let things be things.
It's also a TV show. Things get cut. We don't need to see them climb. We get it.
Yeah, that happens in every Godzilla movie. Somebody's suddenly on top of a building. I argued with Autumn about this point. A lot of people wanted this fight to be longer, and I do think if you make this fight longer, it becomes an actual Godzilla movie, and then with that, you get a lot of the things that are complaints about those type of movies, that these type of things happen. They're happening constantly. In a Godzilla movie, if that fight was longer, it was going to be them running the whole time. We understand that, right? It's them running and hiding until they have a way to beat him. That's what that fight would have been longer.
These episodes are already so bloated, and a lot of it's because they do a lot of hiding, they do a lot of fast planning, and they do a lot of fast action,
Yeah.
Like, why?
I liked the scene where, the moment, I liked the whole final battle, but when they're like, who's going to be the bait? And Nancy Wheeler, walk them down, doesn't even hesitate.
She has a death wish. She has a death wish. Pretty positive.
It reminded me so much of the moment in season 1 where Hopper is like, Jonathan, can you use this? And she is hesitating there and saying, finally, after like the third, can you use this? She goes, I can do it. And because she doesn't think anyone will believe her, and constantly people don't believe her. I mean, there's also a big moment that
and Hopper didn't question it, by the way. Hopper didn't question that. He gave it to her, if I remember right.
Which is also a great moment that Hopper just
that's a good point, Al.
To her, because Hopper never cared. Hopper's a girl's dad. Hopper knows the ladies can swing.
He would have taught her how to use a gun. Yeah, he would have taught his daughter how to use a gun. Yeah.
But I think in that moment, it's her being like, no, I am the Sarah Connor of this. Like, I'm okay dying. I'm going to go save my sister. And I think it's a really great moment. Should she have maybe said like, all right, guys, go, and then maybe wait a minute and then start firing? Probably, because she just starts firing and they're all like, oh, geez. And they just...
She has a death wish, man. I'm telling you. Like, that's... but that's a good point that you made. No, but I feel like... Oh, you go. You go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was just thinking about you mentioning how Nancy, and we saw her at the beginning being a bit unsure of herself and for others believing in her as a woman, and then she, gets to show like her true self, and she's much more in the front lines of things. And it just reminded me about Lucas being like the naysayer pessimist of the group, but over time, due to like everything that he's seen, along with Max being a pessimist in and of herself, makes him become a more optimistic person that also makes him like a believer in like the crazy of it all. Like even in the episodes where he's like, hey, it's November 6th, exactly the date when Will first disappeared. Like that can't be a coincidence for all this happening
by people. Like,
which is
November
wild.
6th have to do with anything? Did you not watch? Like Lucas, because I rewatched episode 1 the other like yesterday. Lucas blatantly says it. It's also the anniversary of when Will gets taken.
Yes,
but yeah.
And if it weren't for that line, I'd be a bit more forgiving, just because like odds are most people haven't rewatched the show. Like I almost didn't rewatch the show until I did, so I did remember November 6th to begin with, but. With Lucas having that line in there, you're just not paying attention, man. I'm sorry.
On your phone.
But like you're just not.
I liked the monster getting pinned. I like that when they get up there, I loved that the flare that was a joke earlier is actually extremely useful, because we all know that the only way to beat these guys, she didn't bring a gun she brought the gun for Vecna. She didn't bring the gun for the mind flare. They know fire is how to beat Demogorgons. That's why they brought flares. I love Lucas bringing the wrist rocket back with the slingshot.
Oh
It's
yeah, good
been
point.
his thing,
Yeah.
and they don't make a big deal about it. And in the moment, you could hear people go like, "What's a water balloon gonna do?" Is what somebody said in our theater. What's that gonna do? And then immediately, I'm like, do we forget Mike's got a flare gun here, people? And then he shoots it because it's gas, it's oil, and it instantly lights on fire and is going to continue to burn. I think that whole fight is awesome. It's thinking on your feet. I love that Elle rips open, like it looks like she's going to go through the mouth and rips open the throat, goes right into where he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that they are still fighting while everything's going crazy. I don't think that fight needed to be long. I'm not really sure we've seen their fights. Like the fight in season 4 is not very long. What did we expect? They also have already fought in this episode. Their big fight in season 4 is not very long. They talk, they both go like this, and then he wins, and she then comes back and hits him harder, and he can't move his arm, so he can't fight back. It's not like what did we want? Did we want them to stare and do the thing for 15 minutes? Did we really want the characters to be running for another 10 minutes and hiding through the caves as they're being chased? I don't know if that was necessary. I probably would have liked it if they went that way. I liked it that they didn't. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're good. I think that because it's a TV show and we've seen like a repeated pattern of like not as much action but a lot of talking, people wanted the opposite for like a finale, especially like a big finale when it has a lot more action sequences over the time. That's probably the thinking people have.
No, I think Netflix has dumbed us down to bad long action takes with their bad, dumb, long action movies. And I think people wanted it to be Fast and Furious, and they're not Hollywood writers, and that's why they don't actually understand how good writing can be at times.
Yeah, it's definitely I think with this show, it's definitely like showing a case of people being more attentive to a plot rather than attentive to a character. Like for me, when I watch stuff, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm the weird one, but I pay attention to like how characters like act and react and like what their wants and needs are for like within the story that they're telling. And the story is just like extra filling to like add a backdrop to what a character's dealing with. But clearly most other people don't think that way.
And it's also
I think they think more plot heavy.
They do, but I do think there is some shaky writing in this season in particular. I think like Robin got a lot more like bad jokes, but also got great moments. Like people just go, "Oh, the writing's horrible." Give me an example of a specific time that you thought the writing was actually bad, right? Mm-hmm. I do think there are moments, like I can give you examples. I think the whole dick joke with Robin and Steve is bad writing. I also think though I think that was the point, because Steve is literally like, "What is wrong with you?" Like, I think
it just doesn't land. Also, yeah.
But again, that's the point. Steve, the characters agree that it doesn't land.
Yes, but even still,
it's still not the best writing.
No,
it's still not the best writing. But anything with Hopper and Elle was excellent writing. Like. What are we talking? Like, I can give you examples of great writing, and like this is a TV show. If you're gonna dissect it. Don't just give me a broad statement. Well, writing was terrible. Bring out a point to argue. But anyway, now I'm just ranting about that. The fight I thought was great. I don't know what fan didn't watch them flying around, the mind flares getting lit on fire. They're flying around, and there's all these spikes we've seen since the moment we first witnessed where he is. My thought when I'm seeing that is, Elle, pin him against one of them. Like, I wanted her to do it. So when she got the opportunity, she took it. I think it worked, and it didn't kill him. If Joyce isn't there, as soon as it happened, I leaned over to Autumn. Well, I was already sitting like this because I just happened to be sitting next to, in these chairs, so Kyle knows because he's in a theater with these type of chairs, a guy who had to be 6'6". So he was just lengthy. So he needed space. So I was like, I'm gonna play a little closer to my side here, and nothing bad. He was respectful, didn't get out his phone, none of that. But I was I was already kind of close to Autumn, and I was like, always go for the head. People are cheering, and I looked at her. I was like, we got to go for the head because you have to, because Vecna wasn't dead, and if they all just left, he probably would have pried himself off and used his mind powers to heal himself. because we saw him
Mhm.
light on fire and take shotgun shells and he lived. Like,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
I thought that moment ripped, and then it leads into an excellent Joyce moment. But what did you think about that? The final fight inside now with Elle and Vecna.
Uh, it was quicker than I was anticipating, but it was still satisfying, especially with Joyce at the end. I think like really helped nail like the satisfaction of the death. Um, yeah, I guess then maybe I would have wanted the fight. The fight was intense, but I also wish it. Maybe I do wish it was a bit longer. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about that fight more, maybe I do want it to be a bit longer of a fight. But
I think
I
I'm
still
in
it was
this.
still satisfying with like slowly piercing him with the
If
spike.
they had made it 10, 15 minutes longer, I probably would have really liked it still. But I'm just saying,
Sure.
I'm like, it's not a complaint for me. It didn't
Mm,
need to be longer. The
yeah,
stakes were
that's
there
fine.
for me. I was
Mhm.
locked in. Were the stakes there for you, or are you now going saying no? I do want it to be longer.
The stakes in what? That fight specifically?
Yeah,
I think the stakes were already there. I just wanted to see the fight last a bit longer because it would have been cool, especially with it being the finale. Like, go ahead and go full on
yeah,
swinging.
sure.
But again, in the moment, like it wasn't a thought of mine. I was still enjoying myself. Just
Budget went
now,
to the
upon
giant
reflection,
mind
I what was up?
flare. Sorry, the budget went to the giant mind flare.
I mean, that's probably the case as well.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I liked it.
happy the
So
kids are alive. That was
yeah,
nice.
let's
Yeah.
all right, let's jump to the epilogue here.
Hmm.
So the kind of final big arc. Well, first, did you like the graduation stuff? I liked it. I thought it was really cool. I liked Dustin's speech. I liked it.
I really like the speech because I was reminded on social media that he did the things that
Eddie said,
Quinn's
yeah,
character wanted to
Eddie,
do,
yeah,
and I thought that was neat. I thought that was a nice
yeah.
touch. Um, I also was fine with the graduation thing because I think all those kids, after all this time, deserve a win, and it just really
Mhm.
encapsulates the passage of time. Like a lot of stuff has
Yeah.
happened to them since they were like 10 onward to like 18 now.
I
Um,
did have to think
yeah,
to myself briefly. I was like, 18 months. How long is 18 months ago? Oh, dang, that's almost 2 years. I was
right.
like, oh, we really have
Yeah.
jumped. And that's the biggest jump they do. But yeah,
Hmm.
Eddie. Yeah, you were thinking of Eddie.
Yes, Eddie. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, no, I also didn't realize that till I saw people talking about it later. And I think that's a really cool. Those are the type of things I'm okay missing. It's like, oh, that makes sense. That's really cool. I liked Eric. Like it gave a few little moments to characters that I think got a moment. Murray was there
Right. What
sitting
has
there.
happened?
Erica shoots the stuff off. Like, and I
Hmm.
think right before then, I think the conversation Mike and Hopper have is incredible.
Hmm.
I love Hopper
Okay.
having that stash back. I've seen people complain, oh, he just suddenly gets to be chief of police again. How come nobody's shocked that he's alive? And it's like, did we really need a scene of all that? Do we really need that though? Did
The
we?
only I would have only wanted to see like his police buddies that we saw from like season one be
I
like,
didn't like
"Holy
them.
crap, you're alive!" Like maybe, but even still, I'm like, it makes sense. He was a really good chief. The
Yeah.
other guy was flailing back in season four. He wasn't that good.
No.
Yeah, make
It's
him
crazy
chief.
though. Those two, like everybody's complaining about Susie and all these other characters, but it's like the cop guys are in every season for a pretty decent amount up until this new one. They're in
Yeah,
four.
yeah, they're
Um,
great. Great
I don't
characters.
think it needed. That's whole conversation is really good though because he is Hopper is saying to him, "You can
What
be
else said to
me.
him?
Yeah, you can be me, or you don't have to be me. You can be the person Elle wanted me to be from the beginning that I didn't figure out until it was too late." And he realizes that, and I thought that whole was great. So, what did you think? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we can move on.
Did you like Hopper proposing to Joyce?
Yeah, I mean, it
Love
was
it.
nice. I'm still in the camp that I didn't need them to get together. I think their chemistry is fine, but it's not enough to where I'm like, this is endgame ship level for me. But yeah, it's a sweet scene, and they're great actors, so they nailed it. Yeah,
I
it was
liked
cute.
the little like Easter egg of that the show came from the idea of the Montauk project, and him saying we can move to Montauk, New York, and like
Oh,
everything. I
okay.
thought that was really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
those are when I think they're killing it with their writing, and they're sneaking in little things that are just kind of fun, because that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh,
The
that's funny.
those are actual Easter eggs. Like, I think
Yeah,
the art of the Easter egg is lost on people. Like, that's a good Easter egg. Like, it's not an Easter egg isn't when Susie somehow pops out of a bush and is like, "Remember me?" And they're like, "Susie!" Like, that's what people. I think that's what people think an Easter egg is. That's not an Easter egg. An Easter egg is
yeah.
that Montauk thing. That's a nice that, and you know, if you know it, great. If not, that's fine. It doesn't matter, but it's cool. Anyway, that was just me complaining.
Um,
Um,
but so let's move then.
mhm.
Dustin gets to talk to a different girl. He's a little bit hot and
That was the girl
heavy.
from
He's like,
season 2
you got it.
from the
So that,
dance.
oh, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I knew, obviously, the conversation they have, it was somebody that had been there, but I honest to God, till right now, forgot about her and couldn't remember
No, I mean
or
that's
didn't
fair.
remember who it
That's
was.
totally
That's
fair.
awesome.
It's a miracle I remembered.
Um, I loved this ending. I think it is one of actually
Yeah,
the better. And when I say the ending, I mean the actual final ending of the show. How it ends, I think, is
walking
really
up the
good.
stairs
Well, yeah,
on the door. Yeah, yeah.
I think Mike saying, no, 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 I've got something better. And it makes you think of, I think it's season 2 when Will's finally back and or is it season 3? It's season 3 when they're with the girls, where he's just
Mm-hmm.
like, I just want to play D&D. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to play D&D like we used to, because I've lost time that I'm not getting back. And I like
Right.
that Mike goes, no, I've got something better. I love that Max is a part of the group. I love that
Yeah.
whole them playing D&D.
Well, they've always
I
been
love,
outcasts as well. Why would they go to a party at this point? I mean, in real life, would you have gone to that party? Probably, but for like the sake of the show and for like the characters that we've seen, it makes sense for them. And especially all that they've gone through, like they would rather have this
yeah,
last quiet moment together rather
yeah,
than uh, a party where they can feel good for only that short amount of time. And they don't really
yeah.
have anything to prove at this point either. They don't need to be popular. So yeah,
No.
I liked it too.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rant a lot. So jump in when you hear a moment, Kyle. When you
All right,
need to
fire
speak.
away,
I
fire
think
away.
the brilliance. I actually think that moment is really strong writing, and I think a great example of it, because
Wolfhard nails it too.
I think, oh, for sure, and I think they all do. But I think the theory that the Duffers have heard since season probably 1 or 2 is this is all going to end with them playing D&D, saying it was that it never happened. And what they did is they said, we're going to take this theory and we're going to actually flip it upside down, pun intended. We're going to have them ending playing D&D, and what they're actually playing is the story that they did not live, the story they did live. And they end that D&D campaign in a similar situation. They needed to summon a hero to help them win the day. That was Elle. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is really strong writing by them, and great performances by the kids. I think Max's response before they
It's so
summon
funny.
the
Yeah,
character is excellent. Kyle,
so
it's
funny.
us. It's the
Yeah.
audience. Max's reaction's the audience. It's the audience not getting
Mm-hmm.
what they wanted and getting mad about it, which is what people are doing. They're doing it right now. They're being Max with the actual ending they got because they didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, Mike goes, "Oh, there can be more. It's
Mm-hmm.
optimistic. There can be more." And gives them each an idea that we take to heart. That's what we assume is going to happen in these characters' arcs. Like Dustin is going to be picked up every other weekend or whatever by Steve to hang out. Um,
Yeah,
which I love that, but they
it's
are
cute. Yeah.
it's it's him telling a story. I
Mm-hmm.
think it is very clear and cut that Elle is not alive, personally. But I like that they put it in an ambiguous way, because like I've had talked to Autumn about this and she's like, no, I think Elle is alive, and I think that makes sense. I think it's very clear and cut that Elle is not alive, and Mike accepts that when he talks to Hopper. And when he then says to all of them, what if I came up with another story, another ending to this book? I like the
Mm-hmm.
idea of him eventually being Stephen King and writing this story down, I think is very fun. And him saying I would
See,
change the ending.
see,
What?
and within this monologue that he's giving, which I like. I'm on board with you on that. I see so many people saying that there's plot holes within this monologue because they're saying how did like for example how do they know that Elle's sister is alive, would be alive, or that she even died to begin with, like behind the scenes of it all. Just stuff like that where I'm like, I don't. You don't need to
You
see
didn't watch it.
well, like they didn't. They were asking questions like, how would Mike know that Elle's sister is dead and is like somewhere far away in the Upside Down? Where it's like you don't need to see a scene where Hopper explains what happened to Elle's sister. Like that's padding. That's not like if you can make the connection in your head that people probably caught up to speed with everyone on like what happened. You know what I mean? So
Well,
they're poking holes and claiming them as plot holes when they're not in this
no.
great monologue, when the entire point of the monologue is being missed completely.
We
So it's that
know
example
that,
of plot heavy thinking people over like character minded thinking people. That's very
yeah.
frustrating.
I think the the Upside Down gets disintegrated because of the bomb that explodes in the lab that
Yeah.
Callie's body is in
Yeah.
before anything happens. She
Right.
is dead. That part didn't happen. Mike is giving the characters another viewpoint to
Mhm.
life, and he's
Mhm.
telling them we don't have we I choose to believe that this is what happened because I can't cope with the fact that the woman I love is dead. So
Right.
in my mind, I will never see her again, but she is far away and alive
Mhm.
and happy and living out a life. That is what he is saying in that moment.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
why I
And
think it is
people
brilliant.
Yes, I agree with you. I just see that people miss that point because they're so specific into realizing that they're using flashbacks of like where Elle's sister is, whether she's alive or dead. Exactly. Yeah,
And
it's
spoon
like,
feeding. That's what
yeah,
they need.
exactly. Why did they not tell me that she was dead? Why were we not shown that Hopper told Mike that that girl is dead, or like and stuff like that where it's like you don't need that stuff. You really
No,
don't.
you don't. And I think Mike is the storyteller. He's the game master. He's the dungeon master.
Mhm.
He gives all of them an idea of what the rest of their lives can be, and he's saying to
Yeah.
them what he hopes is going to happen for them is really what he's
Mhm.
saying, what he hopes
Yeah.
they do moving on in life,
Yeah.
and then says the ending that they all want to know about him and what he chooses, and then it gives them all hope for how they can handle think they then it leads into the shot of Holly coming down with delightful Derek and the others.
Mhm.
Suck my fat one, delightful Derek would say.
Mhm.
Um, and it stays on him. He smiles, he goes up, it fades to black. And I think it is really cool that these kids that were actual kids grow up on this show to give Mike that moment for the character, for him to be able to look at now the next generation and their adventures they're going to have, and him smiling at, I think he's thinking in that moment, I hope they have the adventures we have, maybe minus
Hopefully
the
safer
death.
ones. Yeah, maybe some safer
But
ones. But yeah,
but
yeah.
he is seeing he's seeing them, he's seeing himself, his friends, and he has grown up, he has become an adult, he has just told all his friends this very adult mature thing to do by accepting loss and death. I think it's a great ending, dude. I think that specific part, and I think a lot of people have said the epilogue saves the season for them, and I think it's because it's that strong.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think it ends on a very good note, for sure. So then what about Elle? So you like the ambiguity of Elle's death, it sounded like.
let me, because my brain works chaotically. I forgot one thing I wanted to mention way
Okay.
long ago about Nancy that I randomly remembered.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
For all the plot holes and the things that don't get any explanation, I think we're forgetting that Nancy, when they first go into the Upside Down, shoots with Hopper soldiers. That is the first and only time we see Nancy shooting at people other than Vecna, who is a monster when she shoots at him. Looks like a monster. We're not going to talk about that. And people are complaining about plot holes. Nancy has killed men, actual people, with her own hands and her own gun. And that's like, she's not shooting at a
Sorry.
monster.
Sorry, what's the plot hole exactly? That it's
I'm
crazy
just
that she
saying,
would shoot a monster and it would
there's no
work?
plot hole. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I remember thinking that moment, oh, Nancy's killing people now, not shooting at a
Right.
Demogorgon, not shooting at a monster. She's actually shooting at just actual people. Like
Yeah.
we are accustomed to Hopper doing that. Hopper's also a cop. He's older, but like Nancy does
Right.
it. That's a huge step that just nobody talks about.
She's still a
Like, but
child, practically. Yeah.
exactly. She
Yeah.
is. She's like just recently out of high school. Like that's insane. But anyway, I just
Mhm.
wanted to point that out. That people are like, "But
Okay.
where's Susie?" But we can't talk about the fact that Nancy has started killing people and like nobody mentions that Nancy is killing people. Like I'm
Probably
just
further down on the list of plot holes that people have.
for the for the wackos.
I
But
mean,
anyway,
yeah.
shout out to Millie Bobby Brown, Millie Bon Jovi now.
Congrats.
She her acting in the first 4 episodes is not very good. I think it gets worse in the second 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I do think talking to Hop both times when Hop talks to her, her response, and then her talking to him, and then her talking to Mike, I think she acted as best she could through the Botox. And I think she ended up
Yeah.
delivering at least 80-85%. I think she did a much better job in those scenes, and she's not being given enough credit for those moments, I think.
Okay.
Because she, especially talking to Mike, she did a really good job. Still never saw one wrinkle when those eyebrows went up, but
Oh, the lip
still,
filler, man. It's oof.
it's
It was
bad. No,
bad.
it is
It was
bad.
bad this season. It's bad.
It,
Sorry,
it
girl.
no girl, you look good, but it did take away from her performance, I think, in all of season 5. Her
Yeah.
or the work she had done. She
Yeah.
looked like a Kardashian on the show half the time. The
Yeah.
memes are hysterical though. But anyway, yeah, she did power through. The scene with Mike, I think, is really strong, really good.
Yeah. And do you think that's also ambiguous, or do you think that moment happened for him?
I think it happened because I think it did happen for him. And I think
Okay.
when he tells them, she says to him, "You need to pass on what I am saying to everyone else." And I think we don't see that conversation because I don't think he's had it until the D&D game. I think that is
Mm-hmm.
him figuring out how he had to cope with her loss first and then getting to tell everyone what he thought the end of that story was for her. But
Mm-hmm.
I also, people don't realize this, when Max gets put into the into the void, she goes, right, she's standing up with them and she goes, "How am I doing this? This is the void." That's what we've referred it to the last 4 seasons. She goes, "You're in my mind," is what she said to Max. That's a huge reveal. The void has
Mm-hmm.
always been Elle's mind, so it makes sense that she can pull him in at the end there to her mind. um so it really worked for me, but also because they're in her mind, I think this is where I think, and I believe in, that this is what's happening in this scene, and it could be taken another way. When they're talking and it is cutting to the scenes of them throughout the show, I think the characters in the story are seeing those scenes because they are inside of Elle's mind. And I think that added to the layers and the performance even more of the characters.
Oh.
I think she is flashing those images to Mike and herself as well.
Huh. Okay.
See,
Interesting.
these are the things I think about because, I'm good at this stuff.
You're a thinker, man. At the end of the day, you have some
Not a,
ideas.
yeah, well, thank you. But I loved all that. I do think she is dead, and I think it all worked. And I like that
Mm-hmm.
they are letting the fans, because there were people in our theater who were screaming no when Elle died because they liked the character so much.
Right.
And I think
They
the
wanted to have
Duffers,
a happy ending.
yeah, the Duffers gave the option for people to believe that she did have a happy ending, even though I think it is very clearly put at her dying.
Right.
But yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Um, I don't mind that she sacrificed herself. I just wish it was a bit more of a heroic position that it happened in. Kind of like what she does in season 1 where she sacrifices herself at the end, you know? Something a bit more like that. I didn't really like that it was her just running back into the upside down from the truck and then she just stands there and goes, "See ya," and then it just blows up.
You wanted her to like in that moment have to like close the gate or something, like do
Yeah, something
something to show.
maybe a bit part of the climax a bit more.
I
Even
don't
though I guess
know.
that technically is the climax, but I don't know. Maybe I'm more into like the splashy actionness of it all more than I realize. But
I don't know.
I
I
just
think
think it would have been more earned than just her being like later. I don't
well,
know. That's kind of
I
what I
don't know.
think.
I think it's just really impactful. I really like the way it ended because it's her. The one time there are two moments I allowed her to actually serve face because she's doing it without meaning to. But when she does
Hmm.
it, when the car's going into the thing at the very end of the episode before the finale, and she's staring at the military. Now the military does suck. They are not well written and not handled well. That is a
Yeah,
whole thing and it's in
yeah,
its
they're the
own. Like
weakest
that is
part.
an actual problem in this season, I think.
Yeah,
But
I don't know whether we should have taken out like the military aspect or we should have taken out the Camelot or Capelpot, whatever it's called.
Camazotz? You mean
Camazot,
the
thank
kids
you.
being in Vecna's mind?
Yeah, either one of those plots, I think we could have tossed out and tried to rework that a bit.
This
But
guy's never seen Naruto Shippuden. He doesn't know what Vecna just doing the infinite Tsukuyomi around here. Okay, um, I think, yeah, I mean, I do think those. Holly was so good with Max though that anything time it was them in Camazotz, I was fine because I think the actress who played Holly did an amazing job. I think she was great.
yeah,
But I anyway, I think when she's standing there at the end and everybody's yelling no and the military's like go get this girl, like what is like they don't even know what's going on, like why is the upside down doing this? I think I think that's just a really cool moment. And it's her just saying to them, it's her goodbye, that I'm going to stand tall and proud of who I am and what I have done for you all, that I care for you, brings Mike into her mind to talk to the one person she truly loved more than anyone, even
mm,
more than Hop.
yeah.
And I really liked that moment that I can't be around, I cannot be alive, or they're never going to stop coming. I think worked really well.
I think her feeling like she needed to sacrifice herself made sense because, like you said, whether it was the government or possibly like somehow Vecna returns or the Mind Flayer somehow returns, like you can't. She doesn't want that risk to happen ever again. So it does make sense why she would want to do it. I have seen people complain about her killing herself because people read it as the writers stating that if you are someone with trauma or has gone through trauma and despite having loved ones it's too much of a burden to be around people um that have trauma in their lives that they're having to go through and that's like not a good thing to represent. I don't think the writers were intentionally doing that, but I don't blame people, especially people that have gone through trauma themselves and maybe have felt isolated and have to remove themselves from people because they feel like a burden with their trauma. I can get why people wouldn't like that ending, but I don't think that's the intention. I don't think that's what the writers were saying. I don't think the writers
I
are
think
going out
that
there and saying if you have trauma, that means no one you shouldn't be around your loved ones. Like that's I
yeah,
don't feel like that's what the show represents.
I
So
think
I hope people I've seen people read it as that, and I just want to say like I don't think that's what they're intending for. But I get it if you don't like the ending because it feels
I
like that.
think
As
the
yeah.
whole convo she has with Hopper kind of negates that. The whole point is that Elle
Mm,
is saying I'm like, you gave me an amazing life.
Mhm.
Let me be, let me make my choices for myself from now on. And I think it's not like, I think the people who might be viewing it that way are viewing it like, oh, so I should just off myself if, like
I
that'll
am a
work or
burden.
whatever.
Like people
But
read it as her. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think when she is having that moment though, standing there, I don't think the character of 11 is thinking of herself as a burden. And I don't think she has for a long time to them. After that conversation anyway, I don't think she
Maybe,
feels that way
maybe.
anymore. I think she is
Right.
proud that she is protecting them. She feels she is protecting the rest of them by, this is the only way I can do it. She doesn't believe that she can go somewhere else.
I
So I just
think
don't think that makes a lot of sense.
no, that's fair. I think when it comes to talking with her sister and them making that plan, I could see how it does feel like a conversation between those two of they are the burdens and they need to I could see them people reading that conversation between the sisters
You
as
know,
like them feeling like they're a burden, but I think with Hopper and with Mike and like you were saying, her coming to the decision on her own much more than earlier in the other episodes.
I think
Yeah, I don't see the show as doing it as representing that.
your point on, I can't believe I'm going to defend Callie a little bit because I do not like her character and I
Oh
think the
no,
whole
she
season could have been
did
done without her.
very disappointing part of the show.
But
I wish that they had redeemed her a bit better, but they
but
didn't.
you made me think of an interesting point. I think the the
By the
thing that
way, those moms
really,
died in the explosion.
they did, yeah.
That's a shame.
It is. We'll get. Well, I guess I'll talk about that real quick too.
If you want to, I
I've
just
seen a lot of
remembered.
people. I've seen a lot of people talking about that, and I think you can. I choose, in my ambiguity, to know that those moms would say that death for them and the baby might be better than the life that they're going to have being prodded and a government experiment that the mom and both the baby will be. So I choose to take that as they would have been okay with the plan. But
Yeah, because
that's under the
despite this,
assumption that there is no other way that they're going to get freed and out. So I choose
exactly
to believe that those mothers say that because one of the moms does say to Callie, help me. And I
right.
remember thinking in that moment that she is saying, help me as in kill me. So I
Yeah.
don't have to go through this. My baby doesn't have to go through this. That's how I choose to take it.
Plus, also, I mean, you could make the argument that just because this all ended and somehow they do free all the mothers doesn't mean that the government isn't going to do that all over again. Like once everything about everything explodes completely, I feel like that's when the government program would have shut down. Because
Yeah,
clearly
the
it kept
question is,
coming
did they
back,
move them all out? But
which
they
we
probably
don't
didn't.
probably didn't.
Yeah,
Like
but
that could have been handled a bit better, I think.
yeah, I think so. Probably
Yeah.
could have, but I think it's fine either way. I'm
Okay.
happy with my choice of how I view it.
Hey, you were right to
I
that.
do think so. I never really thought of it this way, even though the characters are saying things like this. But Hop's dislike for Callie so much, and I probably just got lost in the memes of why he doesn't like her so much. And it's not because she just stinks, which is the memes, because the character's not very good. And the actress, no offense to her, but doesn't do a great job acting.
No,
But
not really.
I think Hopper is what Hopper is seeing is she is constantly being like, no, remember you did have a traumatic childhood and your childhood did suck and we don't deserve anything. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Hopper's first conversation is, yes, you do. And then when she talks to him later and says, I'm not Sarah, she's saying, you're right, Hopper. I did have more in my life than that, just what Callie's had.
Mm.
Callie didn't get what I got. I got it. Henry didn't
Mm-hmm.
get what I got. I am lucky to have gotten what I got in life. And I don't think she feels that she is. I think Callie's whole point this season was to be like, you have trauma, don't forget. And she's like, no, I've already conquered this trauma. But I think at first she was like, you're right. And then by the end of the season is like, no, I actually beat this trauma a long time ago. I am a strong woman and I can do what I
Mm,
need to for myself and what I think is best. So I don't know if I don't go with that take about, I mean, if you do and you have your own trauma, you're fighting your own battle there, but
yeah.
I don't think it is supposed to be viewed that way.
No, I just don't find myself. I mean, I also don't know the Duffer Brothers or this writer's room, so I can't say this with certainty, but I just don't buy that for all of the all of the themes that pretty much encapsulate like togetherness and family and finding found family and going through like traumatic things together. I just don't buy that their conclusion for this character would be, of course she's a burden. Like, why would we bother with her? Like, I don't think that would be the realistic approach that they would take with it. But again, I understand if people who have like such dark, deep trauma themselves did not like Elle's ending because they wanted a happier ending for her rather than her sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
That I understand. But to get to the conclusion that the writers did this on purpose, I just don't buy with. Like that
But
part, I don't
also,
agree with.
uh, I have the original tweet you sent me. With all the bullet points? Do you want me to go over those?
If you got them right now, let's
I
fire
do.
away. Because
Point
this one's a
one,
big one. This one got popular, I'm pretty sure.
you did, yeah. I saw other people talking about it later. Point
Yeah.
one was Susie and Dustin never officially break up. It's not shown, Dustin mentioned her ever again. Why are we assuming they broke up? That's my point of view on it. Like, why'd they break up? Why aren't they still together? What, because he flirted with one girl for a brief moment? Because he's a
from
nerd
summer
and
camp.
because no
Come
girl ever
on.
flirted with him and he didn't react that way? Relax. That's dumb.
I assume they're still together. So how about that?
Amen. Who
Did
cares?
they say they broke up? I don't think they ever said they broke up.
Susie's not mentioned once in season 5.
Right. Whether they broke. Yeah. So there was. Why are you claiming they broke up just because she wasn't mentioned?
Exactly. Yeah.
Technically, she's not mentioned in season 4 until she appears. And
It's true.
did you think they were together still?
Maybe. Yeah. Good point. Will's part of the hive mind. If the brain dies, the body dies. Yet he was completely fine after both the mind flare and Vecna die because he's not part of the hive mind. He's a vessel, and you don't know what a vessel is because it's not part of the hive mind. It's not Harry Potter. He's not a Horcrux. It's a vessel.
Even Will called the kids vessels. He used the right terminology.
If you want to know what a great example of a vessel is, go read JJK and you'll have a great time because that is a great example of what vessels actually are.
Okay. I'll believe you.
Anyway. Dog's making noise. Max writes letters to all the party before her confrontation with Vecna in season 4, never mentioned again. Why on earth do you care about that? There's a whole scene where Lucas goes, I don't need a letter. You're not gonna die.
Yeah,
That's
the point.
for all the others.
The point is that the point is that Max was depressed, and the metaphor is that she would have committed suicide from her depression, so she was writing goodbye letters. And the point was that no, we're here for you. We're not going to let you die, so we're not going to read these letters.
Exactly.
So yeah, even with the trauma thing from season 5, go watch season 4.
Yeah. Mike doesn't know Will's painting wasn't commissioned by 11, but it came from him, never mentioned again. You really need to just rewatch season 4. The painting is only significant. So for that moment of Will having that conversation with Mike and to foreshadow a giant monster that they're all going to fight. That's the only point of the painting.
Yeah, there's no, it was needed for that moment, not for the entire rest of the story. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that sounds right.
Who opened the door's lock in for Will in the very first episode of season 1 when the Demogorgon's chasing Will? Vecna did. Vecna did.
Oh, that could be a good guess.
First episode. A guess. It's in the first episode of season 5.
You don't see of season 5, really? Does it show him opening the door?
All right, here's your spoon. What you want is a shot of Vecna thinking, and then the shot of the door. That's what these people are saying that they desperately needed.
I could see it like peeking around the corner of the door, maybe.
As soon as he gets takes Will, brings him to Vecna. who has psychic abilities. So who would open the door
Oh,
with
yeah.
psychic abilities who's after Will, since
Yep,
the
got it.
Demogorgon is bringing Will to Vecna, you dummies.
Yep, okay, you can... I have my idiot cap on. I'll take that hit.
Yeah,
You're
spit
right.
that food out. Why Vecna targeted Will specifically is still unclear to us because he's gay.
Wait, say that again? Say that again?
Why Vecna targeted Will specifically is still
Guys.
unclear to us. It's
Guys.
because he's gay.
Why do you... That's why he came out in that scene. Because
That's
he's
the
like,
whole point.
oh, I
I'm
was a
not making a
scared
joke.
boy because I know I'm different.
It's
I'm a gay boy in Illinois in the 80s.
It's also a theme in Stephen King's It. Did you watch the movie? Richie in It is gay, and that's part of the reason that Pennywise attacks him. It's a whole plot point.
At least watch the movie.
He's even in season 1, they're talking about how the dad refers to him with derogatory
the slurs.
slurs.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Will is already, as a kid there, starting to feel different. He's easily manipulated because he's unsure of who he is. So Vecna can use him as a vessel. Pay attention. Broaden your mind. Read a book. I don't even know how to read, and I'm saying that. What happened to the Turnbows after the plan? Did they alert the police, and are they even alive? Never mentioned again.
Who?
The Turnbows are Derek's parents in episode 2, 3, when they kidnapped Derek and the parents and Tina.
Who cares?
Tina's birthday party. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Who cares? They're free.
Who cares?
Again,
the point was for that crazy comedic moment. I don't care about his parents.
That's ambiguity, though, where you're choosing to want an answer given to you by them. I'm choosing to believe, if you're actually asking me, what do you think happened to the Turnbows? I think that Joyce and the others released them and probably dropped them off at home, or went back for them, or they woke up and the farmer who owns the barn found them.
Yeah, I mean, it is a thing that people don't realize. And I feel like I realized this when I was young, but maybe I'm giving myself too much credit. But if something wasn't necessarily explained to me, like what we're talking about, you can make it up in your head. The whole point is to have imagination along with the thing that's acting as imagination. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Next
anyway,
point.
Keep going.
Is
I like
Dr.
these.
K alive or dead? Never mentioned again. Well, since everybody, Dr. K is Sarah Connor.
Well, you didn't like her anyway. Who cares?
Exactly. That's my point. If you don't like the character the whole time, first of all, what do you mean is she alive or dead? They're all clearly alive at the end.
No one
so
kills
what did
her.
you want, a scene of her dying of old age? What did we want from this? It's unclear whether Robin is still with Vicky. A mention of overbearing parents, but it's still vague. Vicky doesn't even show up in the epilogue. Who cares? Robin says she's off in college, though. She's off in college. Yeah. She's off doing other things. They grow apart. They've graduated. They've moved on in life. Are you with your significant other from high school? Because I don't know. I know a couple, but not many people who still are. And most of those people ended up being the Steve, and they're still in their hometown. Here's the next one. Where's Max's mom? Never mentioned again. I do think Max's mom is a fair criticism of season 5, with her daughter being in a coma. She is in a decent amount of season 4, enough to warrant probably being put in season 5.
I wish they utilized her mom in season 2, because I think there would have been some interesting stuff.
Yeah, could have been.
Especially because they utilized what's her name? The Wheeler mom. They utilize her a lot. Karen,
Lock them down.
I feel like you could have utilized Max's mom a bit more.
Probably.
So that's a shame.
It's also an ensemble. You have to cut out some characters to make room for the massive amount you have to try to please everybody. That is the difficulty with this type of show, and it's what Game of Thrones couldn't handle.
Plus, I would say it's kind of a criticism of the Duffer Brothers. Like they do, as much as I was saying it's okay for not characters to not die, they also are very faithful to their characters, especially the actors that they work with. And sometimes it's felt throughout the course of the show. Like sometimes there's characters that overstay their welcome, in my opinion.
All of these tweets came from the account V at Bang Buyers on Twitter, just to give her
Oh,
cred.
you're
Um,
calling people out. Okay.
I'm not calling her out. I don't want, if, I mean, nobody's going to see this video from any of that, but like these are her plot holes. You feel the way you want to feel about all of it. But I am seeing a reply you have to somebody where you said this is inexcusable for 3 years of writing. And I think you're a little harsh,
That's
but
hyperbolic. That's
yeah,
hyperbolic. Unless they're joking, but it's hard to tell when people joke through a text like that.
it's also just this specific person, feel free to feel whatever you feel. I'm not specifically speaking of you. We just read off your tweets because they went viral, but people people want to be really spoon fed these days. They really want to just be given everything on a silver platter of everything. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can think critically about a scene. Some of the best movies ever. I was actually just watching Jacob Elordi talk on the Actors on Actors Roundtable. Shout out Hollywood Reporter, dropped today. I'm about halfway through it, and he was
Mm.
talking about how he wasn't going to be an actor. He broke his back playing rugby, and it made him miss about 2 years worth of school. He couldn't sit in class and do a lot of the work, so he had to sit in like the library, and they put on movies for him. And he's like, that's where I fell in love with movies. When you watch enough movies like he did, you start to realize that ambiguity is actually a weapon in a director and a writer's arsenal. It is not because it's a plot hole, that you are supposed to think critically about certain things.
Funny enough that you say that because I stumbled onto a snippet of an interview from the writer of Taxi Driver, Paul Schrader. I have
I
this
just rewatched
bookmarked because I
Taxi
was,
Driver not that long ago, like
oh,
just
I
a
can't,
month and a half ago. It's
that's
incredible.
awesome.
It's
It's
a
such a
great
good,
movie.
yeah. But he actually made a good point about something similar. I don't know if I should read the whole thing now, but
How long is it?
it's about a
Not bad.
paragraph, but I think I can read it fast.
Do it.
Okay, so I just pulled it up now because again, it was in my bookmarks. But he said this: there are people who talk about the American cinema of the '70s as some halcyon period. I hope I'm saying that right. Said the Hollywood veteran. It was to a degree, but not because they were any more talented filmmakers. There's probably, in fact, more talented filmmakers today than there were in the '70s. What there was in the '70s was better audiences. A lot of what's happening in the world
Facts.
had. Hold on. A
No,
lot
I
of
just agree.
what. Oh, you do agree. Okay.
I agree with the point. I said facts. I agree with him. It's the audience. I agree. Continue.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. I heard that wrong. A lot of what's happening in the world had people in consternation. Women's rights, gay rights, sexual liberation, drug liberation, anti war. All of these things were rolling on top of each other, and people were turning to the arts, specifically movies, for what we should feel about this. Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice about wife swapping. Coming Home about Vietnam veterans. An Unmarried Woman about female liberation. So almost one a week, films were coming out to address these things that were on people's minds. When people take movies seriously, it's very easy to make a serious movie. When they don't take it seriously, it's very, very hard. We now have audiences that don't take movies seriously, so it's hard to make a serious movie for them. It's not that us filmmakers are letting you down, it's you audiences are letting us down.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is very
Yeah.
true.
And I think a lot of those subject matters that he was saying are still true for today's standards, but I think the issue is that we're not exploring them through the arts like movies. We're exploring them through our phones. We're exploring them through social media. We're exploring them like on like through like individuals that aren't like filmmakers necessarily. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that exploration is it's still there, but it's just not the same. And so when people go to the movies, they don't understand why they're trying to have that exploration.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Do you have any
yeah.
more tweets other than
I
those that you found?
I could go through a few.
Yeah, let's go through a few more if you got time.
First one off the top is the abyss was so goofy and not scary at all. Why were they all just hanging out in there as if they went regularly?
Um, what would you do in that situation? Would you not walk on your mission and talk to people while you're walking to your mission?
I think the numbness was over for them. I feel like at this point they've seen so much stuff that they shouldn't like even be scared anymore.
Some You're the only one who will understand this, Kyle. I thought about this the other day and I almost told Autumn this, but she wouldn't have understood it. Some of the way people are handling Stranger Things is very similar to the argument in The Last Jedi that bombs don't drop in space. Remember that big
Oh yeah.
plot point? And it was a big deal. And it was like
Yeah.
sci-fi fantasy's in the name. You're supposed to suspend your disbelief. Like I thought about that the other day. I was like, that's what's happening here.
Okay, this one's a bit of a lengthy one.
Do it.
I knew the Duffers wanted to force the last little bit of the traditional American standards when they had Steve coaching baseball in the epilogue after baseball symbolized conformity heteronormative standards of the whole show. They had the kids in the same jersey color of Billy's baseball jersey when he was getting abused by his dad. And they had Duzzy, a relationship that went against religious norms, her dad not wanting her to be with an agnostic boy, and it was a great message she was with him anyway. Just for them to break up off screen and have the popular bully Stacy flirt with him at the end.
Susie, that guy hit the D instead of the S. That's Susie he's talking
Unless
about.
if they're combining Dustin and Susie
I guess.
and making that a relationship name.
But the S and the D are next to each other. I looked at my keyboard. I was like,
well, yeah, then it's probably that. I get it to an extent because that's an interesting idea, but I just don't think there's room for Susie in the relationship. And also, Dustin really didn't do anything else. He was happy to see Stacy, but it's not like he flirted back or anything.
No offense, but the guy or girl, whoever wrote that tweet, you don't sound like you really love your own life, because what insane nitpicks are those?
Yeah, the American standards thing. I mean, the Duffer brothers are obviously older and they lived in the 80s, and there certainly was traditional Americana stuff going on, but I don't think that's what they're symbolizing with the baseball thing. I think the point was that that Steve is comfortable with living at home and being able to help future of generations not have traumas like he had.
I think it's full circle. I think they said a full circle.
He took care of Dustin.
Moment. Yeah, Steve is meant to be a father. Let's put him in a father position without being a dad yet. What is the only occupation where you do that? A teacher and a coach.
Yeah.
That's what they did. I bet you the reason it's the same baseball uniforms is because they went to the or the costume department and said, we need baseball uniforms. They said, we got those leftovers from season 3. Let's go grab them.
They're not going to change anytime soon.
And what a pessimistic view. Why can't the viewpoint be that now they have a good role model and a good person that will not abuse them in that situation? Look at things optimistically, people.
Yeah, I agree. Doesn't anyone else find it weird that a group of 10 people defeated both the big bad... Wait, it might get good.
It won't.
No, it won't. Does anyone else find it weird that a group of 10 people defeated both the big bad villains in under 15 minutes using guns, spears, and an axe and drove out the Upside Down like it was a fun little hangout right after? No?
First of all...
I mean, no,
you're forgetting
not really.
the point that the only person who used a gun is Nancy against the Mind Flare. They're all using fire. They brought fire. He literally has a flamethrower. They show the Jonathan's flamethrower 4 times. The spear was just symbolism so Dustin and Steve could make up. It has nothing to do with anything other than that. That's the main point. They caused damage to it by stabbing it in the belly. Great. They caused it to be irritated. Have you never stepped on a Lego? You don't think a spear can do a little damage, pal? And then it's 2 years later. What else are they doing in 2 years, Kyle? They all went to the graduation of their shared trauma victory. We won the day people to have a win. They're going to have a couple brews on the roof. What is happening to people? Well, they're a terrible. Oh, dang it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Joyce literally directed a play with Henry. Joyce literally directed a play with Henry, a part of it, and doesn't bring it up. All the adults knew Henry in high school, and no one thought, hey, I might be able to defeat him because I went to high school with him.
Fair.
Really? That one's fair.
Isn't that fair to you? That's the play. That's the actual Broadway play, is that information.
I'm just a little surprised that you would defend that. I thought you would be...
No, I don't disagree with care at the end of the day, but that's like a fair criticism. But... Okay. I saw a tweet right when I opened up Twitter before we got on to pull everything up that said the Duffer Brothers confirmed that Joyce and Hopper talk off screen about how they knew Henry from back in the day. Look, Joyce wasn't looking at Henry. Joyce sees him as a monster. They know his name is Henry, but do they necessarily put all the pieces together? I don't know. Right. Who cares?
Right. Vicky and Robin's Enzo date got mentioned 3 or 4 times, yet no relevance or went nowhere. Also,
are they not at Enzo's when he proposes?
But it's saying Vicky and Robin's Enzo date.
Oh, I misheard you. Oh, yeah, don't care. You know how many times in high school... how many times did you, viewer, talk to a girl or a guy in high school about a date and a plan, and then it never happened? I bet a lot, because that's what happens when you're in high school. And she understands now that the world kind of went cuckoo for coconuts because Vicky got brought into the fray. We didn't talk about Mr. Clark. I liked that they brought him finally in. I liked that he got a couple small moments to be fun.
The one thing I didn't like was that he was not in the epilogue. Why was he not there at graduation?
He is.
Although I guess that could have been a rational point, actually.
He's at graduation.
I'm sure he is.
Kyle, they showed him. Did you look at your phone?
I blinked. I have to blink sometimes, Al. They always do fast cuts. I'm sure you're right. It was a brain fart.
They show him.
No, I believe you.
They show him.
I was trying to make a joke, but then I realized the joke didn't go anywhere.
You got more?
What was the point of Hopper's "life has been so unfair to you" speech if Elle was just going to die anyways and have life be even more unfair to her?
Because it's revealing to Elle that the point of Callie is saying, trauma, 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 trauma. You're traumatic. You've had a tough life. We can't ever be happy. And Hopper goes, you can be happy. You deserve that happiness. I want to continue that happiness with you. And then it plays in later where she goes, I have been happy this whole time. You gave me a happiness. Let me now make my own choices as an adult. They all grew up. They're adults at this point. We seniors are considered adults once you turn 18 in real life. So it's not a stretch to say that they are adults by the end of the show. They're adults. Is that it?
Well said. Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah. Some of them were threads and some of them were individual ones.
Nice.
And half of the stuff that we did cover as well. So yeah.
Nice. All right, guys. Are we done, Kyle?
Yeah,
probably.
I think so.
In 2 hours.
Yeah, we can wrap this up.
Guys, what did you think about Stranger Things? Please, if you disagree with us, debate. Don't just say, you guys are lame, though. The writing is bad. I would love for you to go in the comments and explain what the writing you didn't specifically like was bad. I explained one earlier in the episode. Writing I didn't think was great. I think a lot of the stuff Joyce has given is not great writing. But give me examples. Give me some specifics. Let's have a debate. Let's have a conversation. Not even a debate. Let's just talk it out. Drop those down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.